Good morning, Armor Down. We're at the end of another week. Done a lot of good kind of focus and training this week on connecting to the body. Um, we've started training the practice, the four bells, and I hope that this week has given you some um, clearer insight into where Bell 2 fits in to the grand scheme of things. Before we kind of recap everything that we've done this week, including the kind of the relationship to marksmanship, I just want to go back over these kind of this element of wisdom that I've been trying to bring in the kind of the first part of the training. And one of the things about wisdom is the prism the prism through which you engage the world. Wisdom isn't how the world is, it's how you engage with it. And so what I was kind of starting with at the beginning of the week was this, little scenario of, how to interact with someone who thinks 2 + 2 is 5, right? So you think 2 + 2 is 4, someone else thinks 2 + 2 is 5. So early in the week, I said, you know, in the realm of kind of wisdom, right? 2 + 2 can be 4, 2 + 2 can be 5, and 2 + 2 can be irrelevant all at the same time. So I looked at it as three parts. 2 + 2 is 4 in the realm of the mind, right? The very orderly structured of the mind. 2 + 2 is obviously 4. Mathematics, the law, okay? 2 + 2 is 5, okay? So I looked at that in the context of the present moment, right? So if you're interacting with someone who says 2 + 2 is 5, in the present moment, if you said, sure, 2 + 2 is 5, whatever. Would that really matter? No, not now in the realm of the law or in the realm of order, sure. But in the realm of the moment, interacting with someone else, nah. Now, in the realm of 2 + 2 is irrelevant, is it doesn't matter. And that's the realm of the spirit, the realm of the open-heartedness, the realm of love. It doesn't matter if you're interacting with someone and they don't have the same truths as you. It matters in the law, okay? And it matters in the structure of our government, the way our rules are applied, the way we organize life. It's very meaningful. But in the realm of the heart, it's not so meaningful. And the reason why this is valuable is that you're going to interact with people who don't share the same truths as you. You're going to interact with people who see things vastly different. And you can look at the exact same thing and they can see it vastly different. To fight that or to demand that that has to be the same is not wisdom. And so talked about that earlier in the week. Now I shifted the analogy to rock, paper, scissors, right? And that all started when I was asking, my daughter was thinking about something that scared her. And I said, well, why don't you just shift your attention and away from the thing that scares you into where we are right now, which is taking a tubby. Why not focus on the warmth of the water? And she was like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, you ever played rock, paper, scissors? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, what's the strongest one? Is it rock? Is it paper? Or is it scissors? And she said, it's rock. And I said, well, paper beats rock. She said, well, then it's paper. I said, well, scissors beats paper. And she said, well, it's scissors. And I said, well, rock beats scissors. And she's like, they're all the same? And I said, well, it all matters. What really matters is what you choose. What you choose in that moment can be the thing that trumps the other thing. But ultimately, over time, they're all basically equal. And so to pull that out even further, what really matters is what you bring to the moment. So if you bring mindful awareness to the moment, if you are mindful of what is coming up for you and what's coming up out of the other, then you can literally shift, just like in rock, paper, scissors, from one kind of perspective to the other. I call the three perspectives, mind, body, spirit. Mind is the past and future, the story. The body's the present moment. The spirit is the unknown. And so those three things each have value. To say one's more valuable than the other is not quite right. To give them all equal value is also not quite right. But to give them all value and to recognize that they're all present is the ground that we have to play on. Now, to play the game well, to play the game skillfully, is what wisdom's all about. And so the last thing I'll say before we get into the actual training itself is, if you look at rock, paper, scissors, okay? You look at the rock, you look at paper, you look at scissors, okay? If you think one step back from that, rock, paper, scissors, what you're really looking at is the chooser, okay? Who's choosing rock, paper, scissors? And then if you've ever played rock, paper, scissors, you know that in the moment of 1, 2, 3, shoot, you're actually making a lot of calculations. What was the last person? What was the last thing they shot? What was the last kind of pull they made? They're going to go rock. I'm going to go scissors. So you're always kind of looking, but you're looking in this very quick moment, and that is your mindful awareness. The chooser of rock, paper, scissors is mindful awareness. You're checking in with the thing that is mindful awareness is your choice, right? Now, mindfulness, okay, this practice, mindfulness is the study of mindful awareness. So we're studying the thing that chooses, okay? We're studying the chooser. Now, what the chooser is, because it's not your mind, it's not your body, and it's not your spirit. The chooser is something else. Maybe it's like that movie that's out on Pixar called Soul. Maybe the soul is the chooser. I don't have an answer for you. I have an answer for me, but I encourage you to find an answer for you, right? An answer for me is my traditions, my stuff, but doesn't mean anything for you. What you want to find is your own, and then you want to practice it, okay? So I hope that makes that clear, right? Because what's going to happen as we move forward is a society that allows for all different forms of expression. There's the digital world now, there's the environmental world now, there's the religious world, there's the virtual world, there's the augmented reality world, there's mathematics, there's all these different worlds and all these different realities. And we have to be able to interact with them. They don't necessarily share the same truths, but we all share the same space. So we have to interact with that. Now, the way to do it skillfully is not to get really, really good at rock, paper, or scissors, so to speak. The way to get really, really good is to study the chooser, which is mindfulness. Now, shifting again to the actual training. What we talked about as mindful marksman is we talked about how when you engage with a firearm, you engage with that firearm with your ground, your pelvis, your core, your heart space, okay? That's your weapon, your body points the gun, okay? Your heart space, your throat, your head, okay? So what we did was we made this point that the body points the weapon, okay? So your body has to be involved. If you're a shooter, you know this, and you know about your posture, you know finding the correct posture, finding the right alignment for yourself. You know that as fundamental to your marksmanship. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the chunks, the ground, the pelvis, the core, the throat, the head, and apply that to your seated meditation, okay? So now we'll take the weapon, the fake weapon, we'll put that back over here. And now we'll shift to the cushion. Okay? We also talked about different styles of sitting. So there's the chair, there's the stool, and then there's, of course, sitting with your Armor Down meditation cushion. What you're looking for when you sit is comfort, okay? You want comfort more than anything. You also want that nice straight spine, nice alert spine, but that's not the key. The key is comfort and ease. You want to be able to sit comfortably. Now, if you want to get into kind of the I don't know, the kind of the expert level of seated meditation to get that perfectly straight spine, that's good. But just know that I've seen lots of meditators who are still meditating in their 70s and 80s, and they don't have a perfectly articulated spine. So a perfectly aligned spine isn't the thing that you have to have. Now, you do have to interact with your body. And so what we do is we do that in chunks, okay? So the first chunk we interact with is the ground. And that's what I mean by the ground is where your body's touching the ground. So you see this outside edge of my foot, that's touching the ground. The other outside edge of my foot over here is also touching the ground. And it wasn't comfortable. It was kind of getting smashed. So I made an adjustment. That's your ground. The next place is the pelvis, okay, which is the hip area. You shift around on that to where you feel the base of your spine is right underneath you and solid. This is really where the Armor Down meditation cushion is valuable here. To sit on this thing or to this pillow, which is real kind of unstable, these pillows aren't good foundations, okay? The Armor Down meditation cushion is a solid foundation. You have to have a solid foundation in order for this stuff to actually be useful. So you get your solid foundation, then you come up to your core, okay? Your core is the area around the biggest part of your spine. So you want to have that to be as kind of awake as you can. You don't want your guts to just be hanging out and just be like a slob. But at the same time, you don't want to be all like super, super tight, okay? You want to find that nice balance where you feel comfortable. From there, you move into the chest space, okay? The chest space is the region of the shoulder blades, the heart, the ribs, the throat, also the collarbones. I typically encourage people to move a little bit in their shoulders. A little bit of movement, not a lot. A little bit of movement is enough to kind of trigger a kind of a sensational event in the area. And once you trigger a sensational event, you've got a little bit of feedback. And that's kind of nice because you know it's happening in the present moment, so that's good. And you're just kind of creating that relationship with the body. Now think about a warrior's perspective. To be a warrior is to put the mission first, whether you're a soldier or whether you're a frontline worker or whether you're a family member who has to just get it done, right? All kinds of time where that's absolutely necessary. When you armor down, that's not what you're after. When you armor down, you're coming back into the body. You want to get to the body, so it's, hey body, how are you? What's going on? How do you feel? Is there anything I can do? Is there a way to I can make you more comfortable? So you really are developing a kind of a nice relationship to your body when it comes to Bell 2. You want to be in relation to your body in a nice way. You know, your body, in terms of the mission, right? Your body is the means to the mission, right? It's what you've got to use to get the mission done. Now, if you just keep stuck on that and you bring that same mentality back home and you don't connect to your body's going to create enough noise in different ways that you're going to have to. So you might as well start the process or have the process of communicating with your body built in to begin with. So that's important. We get to the throat. The throat is the midway point between the brain and the rest of the body. There's a lot of subtlety that you can kind of explore at the throat. I'll typically guide at the throat during a longer sit to be aware of things like the sensation of a swallow. how often do you ever pay attention to the sensation of your swallow? Remember what I said earlier about just learning mindful awareness. Without mindful awareness is the ultimate variable. Without it, none of the other training is valuable. You can have the most advanced, fancy named, whatever. Without mindful awareness, without understanding the chooser, it doesn't matter. So the chooser's aware, whether you realize it or not, your chooser is aware. You, as the chooser, are or can be aware of really, really subtle things. You just typically aren't noticing it. And so when we get to the throat, I'll guide you to notice things like a swallow, sometimes even the breath moving up and down the throat. And sometimes you can even feel the temperature difference. What's nice is the throat gives you an opportunity to see just how dialed into the relaxation response you are, which is kind of nice. Next, we go to the head. Now, the head's the top of the spine. You're looking for alert and relaxed. Now, alert and relaxed doesn't mean this. Alert and relaxed means alert and relaxed is somewhere between here and here. This is relaxed but not alert. This is alert but not relaxed. So it's the balance between the two, alert and relaxed. Okay? Now the last thing we talk about with the body is that your face communicates not only outwardly but also inwardly. Your face is connected to the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve connects other places too. But in the face in particular, the vagus nerve has a ton to do with how your face is organized. And if your face is really jammed up, it actually can jam up your body. If your face is soft and open and calm, you can actually create soft and open and calm just with your face. So I encourage you to engage with your face towards the end of second bell. So that's that. Okay, so that's bell 2. Next week we'll get into bell 3 and we'll talk about the breath, which is kind of more of an interactive type of thing. And we'll just keep on moving. But let's go through 4 bells. You know, you've seen first bell, that's the senses, taming the mind. You've seen second bell, that's connecting to the body. We haven't gone into depth into third and fourth bell, but let's practice nonetheless. So go ahead and get yourself ready to train. Bell 1. So what's the first thing that shows up in your sensorial awareness? For me, it's my eyes. My eyes feel real heavy, so I'm just going to close them right away. Second thing shows up for me is sound. What do you hear? Where do you hear it? Third thing that shows up for me is temperature. Most of my body's pretty warm. There's more warmth on the right side, but my pointer fingers are cold. It's cold in the garage. I'm checking with smell. There's no smell for me to be aware of. Taste. Nothing going on there. All right, let's go to bell 2. Sorry about that. Notice your ground. What's beneath you? Right away, I feel my feet, the outside edges of my ankles, the sturdiness of the cushion beneath me. Moving up, I notice pelvis. Making a little shift there. core. See, for me with the core, I'm typically clenching my core. So I typically release it. Once I release my core, I notice how it's impacted my ribs, heart space. Move the shoulder blades a little bit. Get to the throat. Can you feel, when you're breathing, can you feel the air moving up and down in your throat? Top of the head. Top of the head, top of the spine. Great cue is imagining a string attached to the tip top of your head, and imagine just pulling the tip top of your head, the middle center of the head, up by 1 millimeter. Now, check in with the face. Notice the face, soften behind the eyes, soften the cheeks, mouth, chin. Now, throw a tiny smile behind your eyes, behind your cheeks, behind your mouth. Let's go third bell. Breathing. How are you breathing right now? What do you notice? What's the opposite of your breath right now? If your breath is small, what's the opposite of that? If your breath is moving up, you feel your chest moving, where's the opposite location to take your breath? You can really notice the chooser here, right? Who's choosing? Who's the one choosing? I'm not telling you what to breathe. I'm giving you a cue to let you choose for yourself. So that chooser right there, that's mindful awareness. The chooser. That's that right there. What's the opposite of the breath right now? You have to make that determination for yourself. Who is making that determination? What's making the determination? Mindful awareness. Now, what can become like interwoven into mindful awareness is judgment. Oh, so you're breathing. You notice the opposite of your breath. You're breathing like, oh, look how tight I am. You've added a layer of judgment onto mindful awareness. So awareness is kind of the stream. You can add all kinds of things on top of the stream, but if you add mindfulness to it, it's non-judgment. So now just sit with your breath as an anchor. And it's as much of an anchor for your awareness as it is for anything else. It's your place to always come back to, because in the early days of your training, you're going to be confronted with all kinds of shifts and thoughts and analysis and am I doing this right and all these kinds of things. But you just keep coming back to the breath. The only thing that matters is the coming back to the breath, because what you're doing is you're taking agency over your chooser. It's no longer being chosen for you by some judgment or analysis or some expectation. It's your choosing. Third belt really gets involved with that. Now you're moving your awareness around, first in the present moment with your senses, second further in the present moment with your body, and then third moving it with the breath. And then fourth belt, which will begin here, we take the awareness into gratitude and compassion. Try putting your hands in front of your heart. It's an emoji, right? The reason it's an emoji is because this hand placement has been used since the dawn of time. You're connected to something bigger than yourself when you do something like this, putting your hands like this. And that's the point of fourth bell, is bigger than yourself. We start with gratitude, okay? Gratitude is hope fulfilled. It's the pleasure of hope fulfilled. And so when you tap into gratitude, you're tapping into something that is just really fundamental for the well-being and resiliency of your being, of your body, of yourself, of your identity. So when you engage with gratitude, you're engaging with something that's fundamentally good for you. So what are you grateful for? It can be really simple, really local. I'm grateful that my back doesn't hurt. I'm grateful that I'm comfortable on this cushion. It can be something bigger. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for the security of my family. I'm grateful for my loved ones. It can be something massively huge or something beyond. I'm grateful for my relationship to my tradition, or I'm grateful for my relationship to my faith. And you can rest here in gratitude, or you can send gratitude beyond self into the realm of honor and compassion. To give of the goodwill within is to cultivate goodwill. So know that we have to participate with each other. And so gratitude may fortify the self, but compassion and honor fortify the community. And you can't have one without the other. So to create a mindful moment of compassion, shift your mind away from yourself and into others. Maybe it's compassion for the soldiers that are on the Capitol right now, not knowing if they're going to have to defend the Capitol from their own countrymen. Maybe it's the individual who got caught up in all this stuff, the big lie. Maybe they got lost in these grandiose statements about patriotism and everything else. And maybe now they see that it wasn't what they thought, and maybe they're kind of lost. They're ungrounded. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what to believe in. Maybe they're stuck feeling deep shame. Maybe it's the militia member who's so consumed by anger, so bought into the big lie that they can't find a way out. And that every thought is anger and rage. And every feeling is either self-loathing or victimhood. Can you find a place in your heart for them? Can you honor them with a mindful moment of compassion? Be intentional about how you finish. I always take 2 breaths and finish the practice on the second exhale. It's cold in the garage today. Whew. All right, Armor Down. That was a good week of training. We'll get into third bell next week. We'll talk about the breath, talk about interacting with the breath. I think we're going to talk a lot about thinking. I'm not sure, but thinking. You got to talk about thinking. I know a lot of people think that when you practice mindfulness meditation, you're going to stop your thinking, but that's not what happens. What happens is your thinking becomes more transparent. So I'll talk more about that next week. All right, get my 40-year-old body up. That's my dad right there. You got to make guttural sounds every time you move. Anyway, thank you, Armor Down. It's because you're watching that I do this, and it gives me a sense of meaning and purpose. So thank you very much, and we will see you on Monday. What's up, Megan?